Welcome to Keeping It Real, SRQ, with your host, Veronica and Jeremy Miller, and Tomi and Justin Knepp. Keeping It Real, SRQ is the show that shares what's happening in our local real estate market.
So let's talk a little bit about staging, the different types of stagings that people can do. Let's start with virtual staging. What do you guys think?
That's helpful for, let's say, someone who's unable to come physically and look at the property. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think, to me, that would be the only reason I would use virtual staging. How about you?
We've used it.
Okay.
We've used it, and it has worked. You know, it does show a space, you know, but it can disappoint the buyer, you know, because they're expecting to see, you know, this glamorous space, and then they come in and it's just an empty house. So it can be a huge disadvantage, you know. So I do agree. I think for out-of-state people, it's great to see the space and, you know, be able to see it. But when you're actually physically in the home, I think it is better to use a stager.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think one of the advantages is, say you have a house that's a little bit, the space is a little off, mm-hmm. it'll at least give somebody the idea of how to set the rooms up, because I know that's one of the reasons why we had done that. Mm-hmm. And for out-of-town buyers and people coming in, it gives them that kind of idea of like, okay, well, this is an idea how we can do it.
Yes.
This is how maybe I would do it a little different, but they at least know the size of the furniture and how it would fit together. So that's definitely...
Yeah, because that's the reason you want staging, is so someone can come in and say, you know, my L couch would fit perfect here, or my Chase lounge, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm. Some people don't have the vision.
They don't.
No.
Yeah. No, and you guys have a great vision. So even coming in and knocking down a wall or whatever, it takes a special kind of people. But for laymen like me, yes, just stage the house and then everything's perfect. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so we're here today with Robert from HOPE Home Inspections, who's going to tell us a little bit about the inspection process and what that entails. So, Robert, tell us a little bit about HOPE and what you do.
So, HOPE Home Inspections is a multi-inspector company based mainly in Sarasota. We do inspections from Northport all the way up to Largo, Florida. HOPE was actually founded on a principle of helping people. So, HOPE is actually an acronym. It's helping other people every day.
Awesome.
And we really try to be advocates for our customers, to tell them and inform them exactly the condition of the property they're buying today. We cannot predict the future.
Right.
We cannot see through walls or concrete. And so it's, you know, to the best of our abilities, we go through the house in a certain routine. We inspect about 300 different items on an average home inspection.
And I'm assuming there's a list that each inspector will have, and they go. I mean, we've had our home inspected, and you see them crawling through the attic, and they're up on the roof, and all kinds of fun stuff that I have no desire to do. But so tell us, the inspection is done by the buyers typically, or someone that is looking to get information on their home if they're investing. But what is it that you look for specifically when, let's say, when you're on the roof? I've always been curious about what it is that are they looking for? Missing shingles?
I mean, different styles of roofs have different problems. So yes, if it's a shingle roof, you'd be looking for a deterioration of the general roof surface, aging, you've cracked or missing shingles that have peeled off during a rainstorm. The way that they overlay and stick to each other gives them a sort of a hurricane hardiness. But a tile roof, we're looking at cracked tiles, missing tiles, loose tiles called widowmakers. They slide off the roof and potentially
hurt somebody, that's for
right.
sure.
And you know, metal roofs have other issues to them. So it's a very, so not all our home inspections are created equal.
Right.
Our inspectors are highly trained professionals. We have, as I said, a 300+ checklist. We don't really deviate too much from that. There are add-on services that we recommend certain people get. And it's just at the end of the day, you end up with a sort of a 40, 50-page report of this is the condition that we have today. So
if I'm a buyer and you come back to me, what are some of the things that you're seeing in this market that the buyers are like, whoa, I don't want to see this? Or I mean, do you recommend do you have certain recommendations that you make to people that you're inspecting for?
Always. There's recommendations of keeping the property, keep branches off the roof, for instance. If we see it, we're going to report it, but we also then advise, look, hey, that palm tree is going to grow and the branch, so come back and trim it back. In this market right now, as a lot of people might know, is that there's a lot of insurance problems going on and actually getting insurance on a home. And getting that for a reasonable price. And so a lot of things right now, the roof, for instance, there's several insurance companies that will not insure roofs over 13 to 15 years old.
Wow.
And so that's definitely come up a lot in conversation with people. A lot of problems with electrical panels. There's several electrical panels right now which are on recall. And home sellers are not aware until they have an inspection, and then you've got to have the breaker box replaced. Yeah,
that's not a fun thing to have to worry about if you're trying to sell your home. Well, I appreciate you coming in today, Robert. We appreciate having you on the show, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Hi, I am super excited. I'm here with Chris Skardoutos with South State Bank Mortgage, and he's going to talk about one of his specialties. And before we go into it, this is how I met Chris. I was actually helping a woman get out of HUD housing. Yes, out of HUD housing into purchasing her own home. And with education and all these different programs, we were able to do that. And you are the only mortgage company that I've been working with, lender, who knows all this stuff. So why don't we tell everybody?
Sure. I've been working with first-time home buyers for a little over 10 years now, and using various different loan programs to help them achieve home ownership. There is a lot of down payment and closing cost assistance programs out there and available for first-time home buyers, and even not first-time home buyers. Like some people who just don't own a home can take advantage of some of these programs as well. So
that's awesome.
It is pretty amazing. So there is a new program that just rolled out. It's called Hometown Heroes, and it offers up to $25,000 in down payment and closing cost assistance for first-time home buyers who are our hometown heroes, who are in the medical industry, who are firefighters or paramedics or police officers. So anyone who falls in their listed criteria could have the opportunity to get up to $25,000 in assistance.
Wow.
Which can go a long ways. They provide 5% of the total loan amount in assistance, which paired up with a 3% down conventional loan program or 3.5% down FHA loan program. You have the complete down payment is covered, and then some of the closing costs on top of it. So the borrower is going to have to come to the table with some of their own money to complete the transaction if the sellers are not willing to contribute as well. So,
and I remember specifically for that woman that we helped, there are some, you can pay for a point and then you get money, or what is that?
No, there's no points that can be paid for the interest rate. The program administrator sets the rate for those programs. So The seller can contribute to the borrower's closing. So in this market, where the market is kind of changing a little bit, we're starting to see sellers contribute more and more to the buyer's closing costs. So maybe 2 months ago, there were no opportunity for sellers to contribute, but now the market is changing a little bit. So,
yeah, I see it.
So it's good things to come for buyers who are needing the additional assistance.
So, and closing costs. What programs? I know there's programs. Let's say someone meets the criteria, and I think it was a 640. You needed a 640. So that's one prerequisite. But putting down 20%, or no, with FHA, and you don't have to, right?
Correct. Yeah. The minimum credit score for these programs are 640. If they have 680 or better, we can stretch their budget a little bit with a higher debt to income ratio.
Oh, okay.
The other prerequisite is most programs require the borrower to be a first-time home buyer, and in Florida, if they have not had ownership interest in a primary home in the last 3 years, they're considered a first-time home buyer.
Oh, okay. 3 years. That's good to know. Well, this has been very educational, and I encourage everybody to reach out to Chris because he's very knowledgeable, and more importantly, he loves helping people. Because I'm throwing a lot at you right now, and you're wonderful, very, very knowledgeable, like I said. So thank you again for being on the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
At Premier Home Watch, we provide the peace of mind you want, knowing your home is being properly looked after in your absence.
Hi everyone and welcome back. I am here with Courtney Petrin. Again, she is the owner and founder of Savannahs Home and Design, and she was just featured in SRQ magazine as the #1 home designer in Sarasota. Courtney, thank you so much for joining us today. As someone who's in interior design, you know, we have a lot of people in town who want to sell their home. I know you used to do staging. Courtney doesn't do it anymore, but to kind of help the audience out, you know, when you would go in and take a look at a space, you know, what are the big focal points that you would focus on to kind of help, you know, bring that home to life so people would actually want to buy that house?
I think just simple things, even just styling your house, really kind of makes the house look pulled together. So getting little things like throw pillows and just even small rugs and lighting candles and just making it, you know, look super cozy and inviting. I think that people buy houses out of feeling as well.
Yes.
So I think that when you come into a home and you get a feeling of home or you get a feeling of coziness, that's going to resonate in you. And I think that's a lot more long-lasting.
Yes.
Especially seeing, you know, maybe a number of houses that's going to really resonate in you. So I think that just styling a few pieces here and there, flowers, plants, just anything, doesn't have to be expensive. Just making it feel pulled together, home-like, and very organized and tidy.
I love it. Now, we were previously in a home that you had, remodeled with your husband because he is a contractor. What are the spaces that you usually go towards, in remodeling to really, make it wow for, the next homeowner? What spaces do you focus on?
Absolutely. I mean, of course, kitchens and bathrooms are always huge because that's a big expense for someone to take on.
Yes.
But even doing little things can make a difference. So swapping out, mirrors and faucets and hardware, that can somewhat give a facelift to, kitchens and bathrooms, changing out just the countertops, changing out the backsplash. So little things can go a long way.
Yeah.
And then, of course, flooring is a big selling point, too, because it's a big undertaking for
Absolutely.
people. And paint is extremely powerful, and that's relatively simple to do. You can do it yourself. So I would say paint is huge. And I would say those are the biggest things. And any way, too, that you can elevate a space, whether it's your master bedroom or your lanai, by adding in furniture, decor, then I definitely think that's a great selling point, too.
What are the types of things to stay away from? Like, I know there's a trend right now, and I'm probably going to get some flack for this, but people are painting their countertops and then spraying and trying to make it look like marble.
Yeah.
I know that for me as a homeowner, I wouldn't want that. I would either want the real thing or just put, a nice countertop in.
Yeah.
I don't want that faux stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's something that people should really stay away from or... that just because you don't want to make it look, I don't want to, no one hate me for this, but make it look tacky.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're better off just kind of focusing on the things that maybe you can afford to elevate and leave the other things as is. I think that it's obvious usually when that's done.
Yes.
So if you're just living in it yourself and you don't mind, then that's one thing. But if you're trying to sell it, then I think that just looks like a way that you tried to cheap out but made it look better.
Right.
But I think that, I think just let it be and just focus on the things that you can afford to improve.
Absolutely.
And let people just use their imagination in terms of changing out the countertops if they need to.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. I love it. Well, thank you again, everybody, for joining us today. Courtney, thank you so much for joining us again and giving us some tips. Again, if you're needing some help and you want some interior design, please reach out to Courtney. She is more than happy to be your assistant and helping you out.
Hi everybody, I have Dione here with Sea Breeze Appraisals. Dione, she's going to tell you guys a little bit about the investment side of how appraisals are important.
Thank you for having me. Yes, so when you're doing an appraisal for an investment property, besides doing the sales comparison approach, we will often do the income approach to assess value.
Absolutely.
And that we're looking at what the rental properties in that market is for similar type homes and figuring out the gross rent multiplier and figuring out the value that way.
Okay.
And also looking at, is the rental's primary use for seasonal or is it a more annual rental? And how that would impact the value too.
Got it. So is that to try to figure out how much rent you can get from the property, or is that in case they need to get a loan against that property? What would be the purpose of doing this?
Well, it's when they're getting a loan to buy an investment property, the bank wants to see is the rental income going to support this purchase price or not.
Perfect. All right. Because I do have a rental property as well, and sometimes it's hard for me to try to figure out exactly how much rent that property is going to bring in. So you probably have a good idea around the neighborhoods on how much each neighborhood kind of gets as far as rental income and things like that.
Right. It's doing a lot of research on the rental market, talking to some rental companies that are managing properties in the neighborhoods. A lot of research online.
Perfect. All right. So what are some of the other things that you kind of help with on the investment side of appraisals?
So we'll still look at the sales comparison approach like I talked about before, looking at how the home, if it was to be resold and not only used as a rental but as a regular home, and what the open market value is. And then looking at the cost approach too, looking at what the land value is and what the value of the improvements are, less the depreciation, and looking at what that value is. And then we kind of look at all three values to come up with a total value of the home.
That sounds like a lot of work.
It is.
Very nice. Okay. So if you guys are out there looking for, I mean, you do it on the private side. So if I would need help to have my personal rental properties, could I hire you guys out?
Absolutely.
And have you guys come in?
Absolutely.
Very nice. Well, so what should people do to get ready for an appraisal?
There really isn't much. Main thing is to make sure that the electricity and water is on, that the appraiser has access to all the rooms of the home. If there's any animals that need to be secured, secure the animals. As well as if there's been any major improvements to the property, list them.
Absolutely.
And leave them for the appraiser or give it to them somehow.
Is that, are you talking about like the age of the roof, maybe new appliances, or what kind of list?
The roof and the air conditioning, you can find that all out on permit records.
Okay.
But maybe just the last year you put in the kitchen, things like that won't always show up on permit records.
Very nice.
It's very helpful.
Perfect. Dione, I want to say thank you so much for coming and talking with me today.
Thank you.
And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you very much.
Chemical pollutants, also known as volatile organic compounds, are another silent intruder, brought on by household products like air fresheners, personal care items, paint, glue, plastics, and carpet off-gassing. VOCs can also trigger and worsen asthma symptoms. In addition, these pollutants can bring on nausea and headaches, and at very high levels can cause eye and nasal irritation. Children, pregnant women, and the elderly are particularly susceptible. In addition to replacing stale air with fresh air, a carrier ventilator is an efficient and effective way to reduce the presence of VOCs in your home's air.
Join me at 11:30 on Sundays for our Aqua Cares TV show, only on SNN.
Of all the improvements you can make to your home, it could be the most important one is not seen or heard, only felt. Discover premium comfort with the ultra-quiet, energy-efficient Carrier Infinity Home Comfort System. It's an essential part of any healthy home with smart technologies and a whole home air purifier that give you confidence you're breathing healthier air. And there's just no improving on that.